Hello, everyone. This is Bonnie Dillabo, and I am the Web Woman, and we are about to launch on a really fun class today. We are going to be talking about search engines and their relationship with blogging. Now, understand that blogging has been around since about 2008, 2009. Previous to that, a lot of the things that are happening on blogs were happening in different ways, but the technology that allowed people to easily blog and to be syndicated is something that's fairly recent. The thing about blogs is the search engines really like them, and the reason they like them is because they are considered pure content. And as we all know, as far as the Internet is concerned, content is king. And if content is king, then the blog is its castle. Really and truly, when you think about all the content that is all over the Internet, the one place where it all comes together in a nice, neat little package with a bow is in a blog. In a blog, you have original content most of the time. If it's shared content, it's shared content that's been commented on in some way or another, or aggregated onto a blog on a specific topic. For instance, all the news about square dancing, or everything you ever wanted to know about paintball events, or whatever the case may be. The point is there's pretty much not a topic on the planet that's not being covered somewhere by somebody on a blog. Now, so why is this a big deal? And why is it a big deal for you? Well, some of you already have blogs, and you know that a blog takes a lot of dedication, that there's writing involved, and some of you have been fairly successful with your blogs, and some of you have been not so successful. But either way you look at it, when you are writing a blog, you are creating real content, and the search engines like that. Now, understand that over the years, the relationship between people who are marketing something and the search engines have not been exactly congenial, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is because marketers have a tendency to be so extremely competitive, and because everybody wants to be on the first page of Google. Over the years, marketers have developed what is called black hat techniques. That means the bad guys that are designed to cheat the search engines. And the thing is that's completely unnecessary, and they're actually shooting themselves in the foot big time. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of a Google slap before, but a Google slap is basically when the search engine catches on to a new marketing spam technique on the search engines and slaps them down. And all of a sudden they drop off to the middle of nowhere and oftentimes get banned for using certain kinds of techniques on their pages. And oftentimes these same people had no clue that they were doing anything they weren't supposed to, because they were advised to do so by a supposed guru. The problem is this: the search engines have a job to do, and they do not appreciate it when people keep them from doing that job properly. The job of the search engine is to deliver relevant content when you do a search. How irritating is it when you go searching for Harry Potter and end up on somebody's marketing site or on a really, really inappropriate for children site? Okay? That used to happen a lot in the beginning of the Internet. In the beginning, the Internet was kind of the wild, wild west. And black hat marketing was the rule rather than the exception. But what I've learned over the years is that the search engines are doing a job. And when you work with them to help them do that job, then they are very nice to you. When you try to spam them or fool them into doing something that they weren't designed to do, eventually they figure it out. Those people who run these search engines are incredibly smart. And eventually they figure it out and they lock you out. And if you want to be constantly battling the search engines, then go ahead, try the latest, greatest gizmo that's guaranteed to get you to the number one spot on the Internet. And I can almost guarantee you that at some point you're going to get slapped down, and you're going to get slapped down hard. Now, you can listen to people who have the latest, greatest gizmo, or you can listen to somebody like myself. For well over 13 years, I had the number one spot under several important keywords over and above CNN, ABC, and other news outlets for my podcast network. Now, the podcast network no longer exists. I got very, very sick, and there are a lot of reasons why that happened. But the point is during that period of time, there were probably 20 or 30 Google slaps. I never once got slapped down from that position. Not because I knew how to fool with search engines, but because I knew how to work with them. So it behooves you to pay attention to what I'm about to say, okay? Now, the big issue that most people have with blogs is that they have absolutely no clue what to write about. And right under that issue is, how am I going to get found on the search engines when I'm just this little guy and I can't afford to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for SEO and paid advertising and paid positioning on the search engines and all of that kind of stuff? Well, the fact of the matter is neither one of those need to be a problem. The last couple of weeks, we've taught you about keywords. We taught you about why keywords are important and what kind of keywords to look for and how to find the keywords you need to entice your ideal client. We also gave you a tool, and that tool was intended to allow you to dig deeper and find keyword phrases called long-tail keywords that will attract the people that, quite frankly, some of the big guys, the 500-pound gorillas on the Internet, aren't looking for, but are perfectly acceptable, and not only acceptable, but the actual need and the pain of your ideal customer, right? All right, so what I'm about to teach you is an extension of that. Now, you're saying to me right now, many of you, but Bonnie, man, I failed creative writing in high school, or I really, really don't like to write, or writing is so hard. And the big problem is I know my subject, but I don't even know where to start as far as a blog post is concerned. Well, there are some things that you need to know about content online. First of all, you need to be yourself, okay? And being yourself means that you want to talk to people exactly the way you would speak. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of bloggers who are actually podcasters. They speak to their audience and type 2 or 3 sentence introduction, and that's their blog. Did you know that you could just talk? How much easier is that than trying to figure out what to write down? Some people, the minute they put pen to paper or sit at a keyboard, their mind goes completely blank. We're going to fix that for you tonight, but I just want you to know that if you're the person who is better at talking than you are at writing, you do have some options, and I'm going to show you what those options are. We're going to actually have a whole lesson series about podcasting and vodcasting, but I just want to make you clear on the fact that you do have some options. So if writing is not your thing, you don't necessarily have to write in order to be a blogger. They just call that a podcaster, which basically is the same thing. A blog has some advantages, and one of those advantages is that a blog is not only beloved by search engines, but it does something that your average website can't do, and that is that blogs, podcasts, and vodcasts are syndicated. What that means is a person can subscribe to it, and every single time you post a blog or post a podcast or post a vodcast, they get a notification saying, hey, your next episode is up and ready to go. And because they love you, because they wouldn't subscribe if they didn't love you, they go, oh, great, I can hardly wait to put this in my pile of things to read this week. And that'll make great reading on the plane. Or I can hardly wait to listen to this while I'm jogging, on my break today. Or you fill in the blank. The point is being able to have people subscribe to you means that they can read, listen, or watch what you posted at their convenience, but they always know where you're going and they're able to keep track of you. So instead of having to go out there and advertise over and over and over again, you get to keep the people you bring in that like you, that already like you. Remember we talked about tribes? Remember we talked about finding that group of people who wanted what you have? This way, not only can't, I don't know about you, but even if I like a website, the likelihood that I'll visit it again, unless it is incredible and exactly what I need on a daily basis, I lose it in my bookmarks. I can't find it again later on when I go searching because I can't remember the URL or the title of the website, or they're not showing up in the search engines or whatever. The nice thing about syndication is it doesn't matter. Back in the day, before blogs, everybody did email marketing. And the saying that became basically the golden rule of marketing at that time was that the gold is in the list. And so there's all these list building techniques, and I will teach you some of those techniques, but by far the absolute best list you can have is a blog list, because you can speak directly to your group anytime you want to. They're expecting it. They already love you. And you don't have to deal with all of the things of, getting, ending up being accused of being spam or anything else. They subscribed to you. They asked for you. They opted in to you. That is a big deal. It is worth its weight in gold. And right now that's about $1,300 an ounce. Okay? So that being said, moving on. Let's talk about writing. Now, if writing was not your favorite subject in school, or whether it was, one of the biggest problems is, what do I write today? And I have resolved that issue because I always, when I start a project, I create a writer's unblocking kit. All right? Now, this bullet list is really important. Trust me when I say that when you put this together, you will never, ever have to worry about what are you going to write next. Okay? And I just realized I left one thing off the list in this list, but let's just go through the list as it is right now. The first thing, remember your keyword list? Okay, go back to that list of keyword phrases and see how many of those you can add the word how to, all right? So how to buy gold, how to find out how much gold is worth, how to find a reputable gold dealer, how to trade in gold. You know, I mean, there's all these things. You've gone through and you have made a list of at least 25 original keywords, and then you went, if you did your homework properly, you went into the SEO book tool and you got 5 more long-tail keywords out of those keywords. Look at that list. And then say to yourself, how would one of these words fit into a really great title? Ask yourselves once again, what are the questions that your ideal client is asking? Questions make great titles for your blog posts or your vodcast or your podcast, because questions are often put word for word into the internet, okay? So questions, the word how to or do it yourself or how I did such and such, or 5 ways to fill in the blank, or the 6 best websites about such and such, or why I use fill in the blank, or my worst day ever and what I learned from it. Okay? Sit down and say to yourself, what does my ideal client want to know about this topic? Get into their head and make a list of titles. You don't have to write the articles right now. We're not doing that right now. What we're doing is we are writing a list of titles. Bing, 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 bing. Once again, you can go out under the apple tree or to the beach or someplace with a yellow pad and a pen. I know that's like so old school, but there's something very visceral about pen on paper. But if you're the person that has to do it digitally, then take your tablet off someplace using Evernote, one of my absolute favorite tools ever. You can go to my blog, bonniedillibo.com, and look at my little article on Evernote. It's a great tool, so make yourself a list in Evernote. But whatever you do, you're making this list. As you're going along through every single one of these bullet points, you've got that list right next to you, and every time another aha comes to you, you write a list. And you might end up with 300 or 400 titles by the time you're through, which is great. That means for the next 4 or 5 years, you don't have to worry about coming up with something to write on your blog, okay? The next thing you want to do is go to trends. Now, there's Google Trends, there's Facebook Trends, there's YouTube Trends, Hootsuite. I also wrote a great article on trending at bonniedillibo.com. Okay, it's one of my blog posts this past week. I've been completely redoing this blog from scratch. I erased everything that was on it and started it over in light of the fact that I am back as the web woman. And so I've completely redecorated, redid this blog. So bonniedillibo.com, go to that trending article, and while you're going to I put a list with URLs where you can just click and go to these various places. As you're looking through there, use the searches on those trending tools. Find out what people are looking for and what is really exciting and trending right now in your topic, about your keywords, okay? As you're doing that, look at the articles that have already been written, okay, by people, or the headlines that have already been written. Feel free to use that headline that you saw that attracted people's attention, just reword it slightly. You can borrow, but you don't want to plagiarize, all right? One of the things you can also do is when you put that title on your list is write the URL of the article that you got it from so that you could actually cite that as you quote from it on your blog post, because you are allowed to quote from other people, but always give a citation, a reference, or some sort of acknowledgement of who wrote it and, you know, where they can find it, because otherwise then you're just cheating, okay? But one of my friends used to say, if you copy one article word for word, that's plagiarism. But if you copy a whole bunch of articles word for word in a document, that's research, okay? So feel free to quote from other people. Just make sure that you always give credit and you always give a link back to where people can find that quote. Okay, moving on. So trends. Put your keywords into the search bar and look for things that grab your eye, because if they grabbed your eye and if they're already trending out there, that means somebody's already looking for that very specific thing. And there's some way that you can take that and make it your own. And you might find that you write 3 or 4 titles out of one article. Okay, so that's a treasure trove. Google your competition. Google your competition. Now, some of you are saying, oh, but honey, I don't have any competition. You know what? You're in the danger zone, because marketers who think that aren't paying attention. Even if your product is absolutely unique in the marketplace, it came from somewhere. It came from a need that's trying to be filled by someone else. You saw a product or used something and you said, you know what, that just doesn't work for me. I'm going to reinvent it and make it better. Those people, the old people that did that thing, they're your competition. Or even if they're just on the same topic of you, they are still your competition for keywords, if nothing else. So go out there and look at your competition, those top 10 people. When you put your keyword phrases in there, go in and look at those top 10 people, not counting the one that is advertising, although you might even want to look at that because obviously they're making enough money they can afford to pay for their whatever it is to be at the top of Google. Don't just rely on Google. Go to Yahoo and Bing and Dogpile. Dogpile's a great one because it combines like 6 or 8 different search engines results into one big list. Okay, but Google your competition, see what they're talking about, and go into their FAQs, because their FAQs are going to tell you a really important story. If people have asked these same questions FAQ stands for frequently asked questions. If their FAQs are frequently asked questions, that means that the people that you want to market from are asking those questions. Use those questions as titles to your articles. That's not plagiarism. A question is a question. Okay? So as long as it doesn't say something about that particular question being copyrighted, you can go ahead and use that. I would reword it in your own words, but the point is look at the FAQs. I left out a parenthesis. I just noticed that. Look at the FAQs and see what people are asking questions about. All right? I already talked about Facebook trends. Books, those old-fashioned things with writing on them, they're not websites. Read a book. Go out and buy a book or go back to a book that is in your niche. Look at chapter headings. And those little subheadings inside the chapter headings? Those are especially valuable. Okay? These are things that people want to know. Write your own article about it. If you want to quote a portion of that book, go ahead and quote a portion of that book. Be sure you give credit and links and all that kind of cool and lovely stuff. Now, there are a lot of news sites out there. One of my favorites is Live 360. Live 360 is your own programmable news channel. So you go in, you get an account, it's free. You get an account, you tell it, these are the news articles that I want to keep track of, or these are the keywords that I want to keep track of. And they will eliminate anything out of the news feed that you don't want. You can ask them to not put celebrity gossip, for instance, in your news feed, whatever. But it's a news feed all about news articles that are aggregated from all over the internet. And, news is a hot topic, and news is a trending thing. So if you see an article in Live 360 or Flipbook or any one of these other things, this is something you can write about. Now, you're going to sit down and you are going to write down titles. You don't have to write a single article yet. You're not ready for that yet, unless you've already got a blog. And if you do, right now I hope you're thanking me, because this really works, guys. I have right now enough titles written down that I won't have to come up with a new thing to write about on my blog for probably about 4 months. Right? Because that's the way I work. I like to write from an outline. Okay, and so now you can sit down with those titles, pick out the ones you think that you'd like to start with first, give them their own little notepad, and then write down your bullet points. Write down what are the main points you want to make in that article, and take notes as to any research that you're going to need to do, like the exact name or domain name of website that you're going to talk about, or lists out there that might help you jog your memory about things that you want to say. Some of those titles are going to need a part 1 and part 2. I'm working on one of those right now. The blog post I did today was a part 1, and I'll do part 1 tomorrow morning. Actually, I'll probably do it tonight before I go to bed and schedule it to get posted tomorrow morning. But the point is this is a way of making absolutely sure that no matter what, whether you're on vacation, whether, regardless of where you are, you can write 5 paragraphs on pretty much anything. Okay? Some of your blog posts are going to be longer than others. Some of them are going to have to be chopped up into 3 or 4 posts. That's not a bad thing. Having a series of posts on the same topic is kind of nice because it means that it gets people in the habit of coming back and back and back to your site to get more of what they want that they already liked. Okay? We're going to talk next week about 2 different things that are going to help you, bring people to your blog, but also how to actually create a blog in the first place. We've talked about the fact that blogs are important, but you're probably sitting there going, Bonnie, I haven't the slightest clue how to start a blog. Or, Bonnie, I've already got a website. Why do I need a blog? Well, you need a blog. And you're going to learn over the next, actually it's about 6 weeks, that we're going to be talking about your blog as the hub of your marketing. And I'm going to teach you some secrets it took me years to learn that have always come through for me. Okay? Pictures. You should have a picture with every post. A picture literally is worth 1,000 words. So if you don't want to have to write 1,500 to 2,000 words each time you do a post, put a picture up there that says something, that means something, that gets people's attention. The best blog sites I ever saw, their actual theme is very plain. They do all of their color with the pictures that they put into their posts. That being said, you need to keep it legal. How do you keep it legal? Well, you can't just go and grab any picture you see on the Internet. You can. You are physically capable of doing that. You right-click and hit Save Picture As, and most websites don't guard their pictures, and so as a result, you can download that picture, and you can put it in your web post. But be prepared to get a letter from an attorney saying cease and desist, and having you remove your post, or at the very least remove the picture. That's bad, bad karma. Don't do it, all right? Never, ever use a graphic without permission from somebody. Now, there's something called the Creative Commons license, okay? And you can, and we're going to talk about where you can get free graphics that are royalty-free that won't get you in trouble, okay? But what I'm telling you now is either pay for the graphics or get permission from somebody or take the pictures yourself or something. Pixabay.com has a great library of free photos and vector graphics, and they're awesome, and I use them all the time. There are hundreds of thousands of photos and graphics in Pixabay, and they, as a matter of fact, I would say probably at least 80% of the graphics that you see in any of my presentations, on my blogs, even on Facebook, come from Pixabay. All right, they're great. There's also some paid ones that are less expensive that are also very, very good, and we'll talk about that when we go into our class about graphics. YouTube. Any video on YouTube that is shareable, you are allowed to share on your blog. They make them shareable because they want you to share them. Okay? It is, however, not legal to download that video, replace it with your own stuff, and then claim it to be yours. You need to actually embed it directly off of YouTube in order to be able to use it. If you quote something from someone, whether that's a book, a website, a movie, somebody's podcast or vodcast, whatever it is, if you quote something, always, always give credit and a link for the quote. If you do that, first of all, there is a nice little side benefit to that. because people actually have services that watch for their stuff being used online, and as long as you attribute it to that person, they will actually potentially start watching what you're writing. And you may find yourself buddies with one of your heroes. You just never know. It has happened to me before. If you're talking about a product, especially in an affiliate or multi-level marketing company, always, always, always check your terms and conditions regarding company policies. Okay? You can get yourself in big trouble by making claims. All right? For instance, this will cure everything from lumbago to sleeping sickness. All right? You can't ever use the word cure when you're talking about a natural product. And your terms and conditions on your website will tell you that very specifically. You can't make claims for income. I made $100,000 in the last 2 weeks in a network marketing or multi-level marketing company. Now, I know that there are people out there that do that, but inevitably they get caught. And in most cases, they lose all of their privileges with that company, including whatever downline they have and pay, and it's a horrible, horrible mess. Always pay attention to the language that you are supposed to use legally when you're talking about a product, a service, or a company that you actually represent. Otherwise, it's just not good. Don't do it. When in doubt, leave it out. There's plenty of stuff out there that you can use, including the stuff out of your own head. All right? Don't get yourself in trouble. How often should you post? This is a question I'm often asked, and I would say that the magic number is 3. You can post more frequently, but I don't suggest you post less frequently than 3 times a week. Now, I've recently joined this really awesome group, and I will go ahead and post a link to that on my, as a matter of fact, I already have posted a link to that on my the private group that we have on Facebook. But I also am going to be posting an article about this particular group on my blog this week. So you'll be watching for it. But it's called the 30-Day Blogging Challenge. And there's this lovely lady. Her name is Sarah Arrow. Don't you just love that name? I think it's a really cool name. And Sarah Arrow is from England. And she has this really amazing group of people that they do a 30-day challenge where you write a blog post every day or you post a blog post every day. And when you do that, it helps, first of all, to build the content very quickly on your site without you having to work 20 hours a day putting it together. Secondly, it shows the search engines that you're very serious about. And thirdly, the people in this group share your posts quite often with their friends if it's something that they have interest with. They will comment and give you constructive ideas on ways that you can improve, as well as there's just all these really wonderful things that you can learn in this group about blogging. I highly recommend it, okay? But you do not have to post every single day for forever for the rest of your life. But it's a great way to get your blog started or jump started. If you already have a blog and you've been a little intermittent, try posting every day for 30 days. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do all the posts each day. You can make Saturday your blogging day, write 7 posts, and then post them out one at a time, which will take you less than 5 minutes to do, all right? And so that they get posted every day. But it's a 30-day challenge. You do a blog post every day for 30 days. And in the process, you will learn a lot about yourself and about your audience, and the search engines will wake up and pay attention, but not just that. So 3 times a week shows you're serious, shows you're a professional, and keeps the interest of, remember, those subscribers. If you don't post for 2 weeks, they forget about you, okay? One of my favorite bloggers is Seth Godin, and he's also one of my absolute favorite mentors of all time on the Internet, and you will hear me remark on things that he said, things that he's taught throughout this entire course. Matter of fact, you could, we were talking about books. Get any book by Seth Godin and read it. They're never very long, and they're always marketing nitroglycerin. But anyway, that being said, how often should you post? At least 3 times a week, okay? And that can be any 3 days that you particularly care to, or like I said, you can do them all in one swell swoop and then just move forward from there. Some of you who do not have blogs at this time are saying, how do I get a blog? Well, there's lots of different ways, and most of those ways are free. And the rest of them are very, 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 very inexpensive. And we're going to talk about that next week. We're doing actually a session next week about WordPress, which that's the big white W on the blue circle there. It's my favorite blogging platform for a lot of reasons, okay? That being said, there are some pros and cons to the various types of blogs that are out there, blog platforms, I should say. But let me just say one real quick thing. If you want full control over everything you write without anybody being able to tell you what you can and cannot put on your blog, then you need to do a self-hosted blog. There are a lot of different ways to do that. WordPress is my favorite. I've been using WordPress now for over 13 years, and I've tried other platforms because of working with clients. I've tried using other people's platforms, and quite frankly, regardless of some of the issues that WordPress has, some of the issues that some of these others have are even worse. So you want a self-hosted blog if you want true control over everything you say, because I have had friends who had blogs and had blogs with these particular blogging platforms for years, and all of a sudden, evidently they said something that that blogging platform did not like, and this has happened in several different blogging platforms with different people, and they canceled them without notice and without any recourse to talk to anybody about it. They lost everything, several years worth of content, because they couldn't get it back, because this platform didn't like something they said, and they never did find out what it was. That being said, it costs you, if you get a hosted blog, you can get a great hosting plan with HostGator.com. I don't get paid if you go there and get it. So, I'm not selling anything particularly, but I've also been using HostGator for over 13 years. And a domain name from GoDaddy.com. And if you don't know how to put it together, I'd be more than happy to help you set up the basics of your blog for you. No charge, just because you're a member of this group and you're listening to this call. It'll take me about 15 minutes to do. And I'd be more than happy to get you on the road. Now, there's some other things that you're going to need to do, and we're going to be talking about that next week. But the point is you really do want a self-hosted blog. Now, there are uses for non-self-hosted blogs that we will talk about. But for now, your main blog should be self-hosted. Okay? All right. So homework. All right, you love seeing that little homework guy. I just know you do. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create your writer's unblocking kit. Now, I will, when I post the rewind of this, which will be posted on the private group and also on bonniedillibo.com. When I post the rewind of this, I will also post the slide that has the individual points of the unblocking kit listed on it. So if you didn't get that down in your notes, not to worry. It's right there below there, as well as the homework slide. Keep a copy of your writer's unblocking kit in your project folder. I suggest doing it also, if you do it in Evernote, because then you've got it no matter where you go. Because Evernote's that great little tool that's on your phone, your tablet, and your computer, and you can go back and forth on any document on those different things. So you could be out on a hike and have some time to just sit and think, and you can pull out your unblocking kit and say, oh, yeah, there's that blog post that I need to do, and it'll be right there in Evernote. And then you don't have to worry about ever losing it off your hard drive, but, that's just one thought. You can also do that with your keyword list, by the way, which is something that I forgot to talk about when we were talking about keyword lists, which is nice because you can still go ahead and cut and paste that out of whatever document that you put it in originally. Go ahead and get your free Evernote account and then cut and paste that in, and you'll save it and you won't have to worry. It's in the cloud, so that's really cool. All right, so third thing is to sit down with a friend who knows your industry and have them pick their favorite titles from the list. And then ask them why they picked them, because that's also going to give you some ideas of what you can do with those titles. Now, when you do that and they answer you, write it down along with that title, because that could end up being the jump starter that starts you writing that particular title, the particular blog for that particular title. So, and last but not least, I just want to say that I love doing this class. And I love it because I know that there are a lot of people out there that need it, who can't afford the thousands of dollars for the big gurus, all right? I get that. And so that's why I made it for free. However, if you got $5 that you wanted to toss my way to help me defray my expenses, because I do have to pay for the seats in my webinar and some other things that I do in the process of doing this, and my time is actually probably worth a penny here or there. You can go to this URL at the bottom of the page, which will also be in the post on bonniedillibo.com or wherever it is that you find this written down, whether that's the group or there are several different places I usually post the rewind of this. So you can go to this URL. It's WeShareCrowdfunding.com/fundmeplease, and it's PayPal or your debit card or whatever. And I don't make a big deal of that. And you can come for forever and never pay a dime, or you can show your appreciation if you feel like this has been valuable to you. Either way, I'm glad that you are here. I hope you're glad that you're here. Please do your homework, because it's how you move forward. These are the action steps you need to take in order to build a web empire, okay? Not just a little website hanging out there in the middle of nowhere, but a true empire based on the properties that you will own. By the time that you are finished with this course, you will have all the makings of that web empire, and you will see results that are so far beyond anybody else that doesn't have this information. By the way, feel free to share this with people that you know who need this kind of help. I thank you for your time and your attention, and I hope to see you next week when we're going to be talking about WordPress, and I'm going to give you the grand tour of the WordPress interface and teach you some things about WordPress that you may not know. All right? Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Have a great one. Bye-bye.